Everything just exploded. Overnight, the internet went wild. In a jaw-dropping twist that's shaking up political circles and trending across social media platforms, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett finds herself at the center of an $80 million lawsuit. And it's not just any lawsuit. It's from none other than Karoline Leavitt, the former Trump spokeswoman and conservative firebrand. So what really happened? Why is the political world in an uproar? And is this the end of Jasmine Crockett's rising career? Buckle up. We're diving deep into a scandal that's part legal drama, part media firestorm, and 100% real. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. Jasmine Crockett versus Karoline Leavitt. The words that sparked an $80 million firestorm. In today's politically charged climate, one comment, even just one sentence, can change everything. That's exactly what happened when Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett made a series of bold accusations that have now ignited one of the most explosive legal battles in recent political memory. At the heart of it all are words that Karoline Leavitt, a rising conservative figure and former Trump spokesperson, claims were malicious, defamatory, and intentionally damaging. The situation has escalated so dramatically that Leavitt is now suing Crockett for an eye-watering $80 million in damages. So what exactly did Jasmine Crockett say that set off this political earthquake? While the exact language hasn't been publicly released in full due to the ongoing legal process, insiders and early reports suggest that during a fiery media appearance, Crockett implied that Karoline Leavitt had participated in unethical, possibly even illegal, activities related to campaign financing and political insider influence. Specifically, Crockett allegedly suggested that Leavitt benefited from backdoor deals and dark money funneling during her political run, hinting at corruption and special interest involvement. These are serious allegations in the world of politics, ones that, if untrue, can do irreversible damage to a public figure's career, reputation, and future prospects. Leavitt immediately responded, not with a tweet, not with a press release, but with legal action. Her attorneys filed a defamation lawsuit seeking $80 million in damages, arguing that Crockett's remarks were not only false, but strategically delivered to harm Leavitt's credibility and destroy her chances for future office. Her legal team didn't hold back. The filing claims Ms. Crockett made knowingly false and defamatory statements with the intent to cause reputational harm, emotional distress, and economic injury to Ms. Leavitt. This isn't just a slap-on-the-wrist type of case. This is a full-blown legal war, and it's about much more than money. For context, an $80 million lawsuit of this nature is extremely rare, especially between two political figures. Experts are already comparing it to the most high-profile defamation cases in recent years, from Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard to Alex Jones's court battles. Except this time, it's rooted entirely in the volatile intersection of politics, free speech, and media influence. Jasmine Crockett and her supporters, however, are not backing down. In her initial response, Crockett called the lawsuit an attack on free speech and accused Leavitt of trying to silence her using the legal system. Her defenders argue that what Crockett said wasn't slander, it was protected political commentary. In other words, they believe this is a case of a public figure expressing an opinion based on public information, as politicians often do. Supporters also point to the racial and gender dynamics at play. Crockett, a black woman in Congress known for her unapologetic tone and viral moments, has made a name for herself by challenging powerful institutions and individuals. Many believe this lawsuit is a targeted attempt to diminish her growing influence and send a warning to others like her. In fact, some commentators have framed this entire ordeal as cancel culture in reverse, a high-profile conservative using the courts to silence a progressive voice. As one legal analyst put it, this is more than a defamation case. It's a political weapon dressed up in legal language. On the other side, Karoline Leavitt insists this is not about politics or race. It's about truth, integrity, and standing up against what she calls reckless lies. In interviews and public appearances, Leavitt has maintained that she had no choice but to take legal action in order to protect her name, career, and mental well-being. She described the emotional toll the accusations have taken, stating, "In today's world, a false statement can go viral in seconds. The damage is done before you even have a chance to defend yourself. That's not fair, and it's not justice." As of now, the case is moving forward, and the internet is buzzing with opinions. Legal experts say Crockett will likely argue that her statements were either true, based on reasonable belief, or protected under the First Amendment. Leavitt's side will need to prove that the remarks were false, made with malicious intent, and that they caused measurable harm. If the court finds in Leavitt's favor, the outcome could be catastrophic for Crockett. Not only would she face a financial penalty of $80 million, which would almost certainly bankrupt her, but her political future could be thrown into chaos. But if Crockett wins, it could set a powerful precedent for political free speech and reaffirm the right to criticize public figures, even in provocative terms. Either way, the stakes are sky high. This lawsuit isn't just a legal dispute. It's a battle over narrative, power, and who gets to speak and who gets silenced in the world of American politics. And one thing is clear, both women are prepared to fight this out to the bitter end. A political collision course. Who are Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt? In today's volatile political landscape, personalities matter just as much as policies, and in the case of Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt, their personas are just as fiery as their beliefs. These two women come from radically different worlds, represent opposite ends of the American political spectrum, and have quickly become icons for their respective sides. When they finally collided, it wasn't just a disagreement. It was a full-on political detonation. Let's break down who they are, what they stand for, and why this clash was destined to happen. Jasmine Crockett. The voice of progressive fire, Jasmine Crockett is a Democratic congresswoman from Texas, a former civil rights attorney and a rising star within the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. She's known for her bold, unapologetic approach, often speaking her mind with raw honesty, a trait that's earned her admiration from younger voters and frustration from her critics. But Crockett didn't stumble into politics. She fought her way in. Coming from a background of legal advocacy, she represented low-income clients and took on cases others wouldn't. She became a strong voice for criminal justice reform, racial equality, and economic fairness. And when she made her move to Congress, she brought that same fire with her. Crockett quickly gained national attention not just for her policy positions, but for her ability to command attention online. Whether she's taking down political opponents in hearings or dropping viral one-liners on Twitter, she knows how to use media to her advantage. But with that high profile comes high risk. Her no-filter communication style has won her loyal fans, but it's also drawn sharp criticism. She speaks plainly, passionately, and sometimes provocatively. And in politics, that's a double-edged sword. To her supporters, she's a truth-teller. To her critics, she's reckless. Either way, Jasmine Crockett is not someone who goes unnoticed. Karoline Leavitt, the MAGA protégéant. The opposite end of the spectrum stands Karoline Leavitt, a conservative firebrand with a very different story. Leavitt made headlines as one of the youngest women ever to run for Congress, and she did it while fully embracing the America First movement. As a former press aide to President Donald Trump and later his communications director, she's become a familiar face on conservative media, often appearing on Fox News, Newsmax, and other right-leaning platforms. She's articulate, fast-talking, and fiercely loyal to the Trump base. Her talking points include border security, traditional family values, free market economics, and aggressive opposition to what she calls woke politics. Leavitt's rapid rise didn't come by accident. She's been seen as part of a new wave of young conservatives who are tech-savvy, media-fluent, and ready to take the culture war to the left. Like Crockett, she knows how to go viral, but with very different messaging. And like Crockett, her blunt approach has drawn admiration and backlash in equal measure. Two women, two worlds, one collision. When you line these two up side by side, the contrast couldn't be sharper. Crockett is a black progressive woman from Texas fighting for systemic reform. Leavitt is a white conservative from New Hampshire fighting to uphold traditional American values. One speaks the language of social justice and equity. The other speaks the language of nationalism and tradition. Crockett is backed by grassroots activists and progressives. Leavitt is embraced by MAGA voters and GOP donors. They don't just disagree on policy, they represent competing visions of America itself. So when Jasmine Crockett made the comments that led to Karoline Leavitt's $80 million lawsuit, the clash wasn't just personal, it was ideological. It wasn't just two women arguing, it was two political universes colliding, and that's why it struck such a nerve. For Leavitt, the lawsuit isn't just about defending her name, it's about defending her beliefs and the movement she represents. For Crockett, fighting back isn't just about her own defense. It's about resisting what she sees as an attempt to silence powerful women of color in politics. A symbolic battle in the culture war. This is no ordinary legal dispute. For millions of Americans watching this unfold, it feels like a symbolic showdown, a courtroom extension of the culture war that's been dividing the country for the past decade. Is Crockett being canceled for speaking her truth, or is Leavitt demanding accountability for reputational damage? That depends entirely on your political lens. What's undeniable is that both women are rising political forces with large followings and bold voices. Neither is backing down, and both are using the moment to amplify their platforms even further. As this drama continues to unfold, the nation will be watching, not just to see who wins, but to see what it means for the future of political speech, accountability, and the ever-deepening divide in American politics. The $80 million question: what is this lawsuit really about? So, what exactly is this massive lawsuit between Karoline Leavitt and Jasmine Crockett all about? It's not just about harsh words or heated political debate. According to official court documents filed in New York, Karoline Leavitt is suing Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett for a staggering $80 million, citing a laundry list of serious allegations: defamation of character, public slander, emotional distress, career sabotage, and according to Leavitt's legal team, these aren't just words thrown around for drama. They're backed by evidence, intent, and real-world consequences that, they claim, have irreparably harmed her personal and professional life. Let's break it down. The accusations: reckless, disregard for the truth. In the lawsuit, Leavitt's attorneys allege that Jasmine Crockett made public statements that were not only false, but made with what the law calls reckless disregard for the truth. That's legal speak for she either knew it wasn't true or didn't care if it was true before saying it. The comments reportedly accused Leavitt of unethical conduct related to campaign finance and improper political influence. Two charges that, if true, could destroy a political career. Leavitt claims that these statements were deliberate, defamatory, and designed to damage her public image. According to the suit, these remarks were made during a high-profile media appearance that reached millions of viewers, and the fallout was instant. Leavitt alleges that major donors pulled back, media invites dried up, and even some of her closest political allies began to distance themselves. For a young conservative building her brand and eyeing future office, that's a devastating blow. Crockett's response: a frivolous political stunt. On the flip side, Jasmine Crockett and her legal team are completely dismissing the lawsuit. They've labeled it as frivolous, politically motivated, and an obvious attempt to intimidate a powerful black woman who refuses to stay quiet. According to Crockett's camp, the lawsuit isn't really about defamation. It's about silencing a progressive voice who dares to challenge the conservative establishment. In her own words, "I will not be bullied into silence. Speaking uncomfortable truths is not a crime. It's a duty." Her lawyers argue that her comments fall under protected political speech, meaning she has a First Amendment right to express her views about public figures, especially in the context of political discussion. They're also expected to claim that her statements were either factual, based on reasonable belief, or clearly framed as opinion, all of which could weaken Leavitt's case. The bigger message: a battle over who gets to speak. But this lawsuit isn't just about Crockett and Leavitt, it's about something much bigger. Crockett's team, and many of her supporters, are framing the case as a symbolic attack on outspoken women of color in politics. They argue that lawsuits like this are meant to send a message, speak out, and you could be next. To many, this case represents a chilling attempt to police speech, especially when it comes from bold, non-traditional voices that challenge the political norm. Crockett, as a high-profile black congresswoman with a growing national platform, fits that mold perfectly. So from her side, this isn't just legal, it's deeply personal. Why $80 million? Let's talk numbers. $80 million is a staggering amount for a defamation suit, especially one involving public figures. So why that number? Leavitt's team argues that the damage was that severe. According to them, the accusations didn't just tarnish her image, they crippled her ability to work in politics and media. They're claiming losses in campaign contributions, speaking engagements, endorsements, and mental well-being. Legal analysts say this amount is strategic. It's meant to show the seriousness of the claim and force national attention on the case. But it also raises the stakes dramatically. If Crockett loses, she could face financial ruin and major political fallout. What's next? A legal battle that could take years. Legal experts agree. This case isn't going away anytime soon. Defamation. Cases, especially involving public figures, are notoriously difficult to win. Leavitt will need to prove not only that Crockett's statements were false, but that they were made with actual malice, meaning Crockett either knew the statements were false or acted with reckless disregard for the truth. That's a high legal bar, and it could take months, even years, to play out in court. Meanwhile, both sides are leveraging the media. Crockett is using the moment to speak out about censorship, racism, and power. Leavitt is using it to double down on her call for integrity and truth in political speech. Final word: more than a lawsuit. It's a statement. This isn't just a legal case. It's a political chess match, a culture war skirmish, and a high-stakes test of how far political speech can go in America. Whether you see it as a fight for free speech or a necessary demand for accountability, one thing's for sure: this $80 million lawsuit is one of the most explosive political legal battles in years, and we're only at the beginning. The internet reacts: cancel culture or consequences. As soon as news broke about the $80 million lawsuit filed by Karoline Leavitt against Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, the internet did what it does best. It exploded. Across Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, users from every corner of the political spectrum chimed in. Hashtags like "Shuck Crockett cancelled," "Shank stand with Karoline," and "Let Jasmine speak" began trending within hours. And what started as a legal battle quickly turned into a cultural firestorm. This isn't just about politics anymore. It's about speech, power, race, and justice. And the online response reflects just how divided Americans are on those topics. Conservatives: cheer, this is accountability. On the right, the lawsuit is being hailed as a bold stand for accountability. Many conservative commentators argue that political figures like Jasmine Crockett have gotten away for too long with saying whatever they want, without consequences. One popular YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers posted a reaction video titled, "Finally, someone is holding the left accountable." In the video, he said, "This isn't cancel culture, it's consequence culture. If you slander someone on a national stage, you should pay the price." This view has echoed across Fox News, Truth Social, and conservative Twitter, with users praising Leavitt as brave for going after what they see as a powerful political voice with unchecked influence. To them, the lawsuit is not only valid, it's overdue. They argue that if the roles were reversed, If a conservative had made similar claims against a Democrat, the internet would be demanding blood. This, they say, is just leveling the playing field. Progressives push back, silencing a black woman, but on the left, the mood is entirely different. Supporters of Jasmine Crockett have flooded TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter with videos, memes, and comments calling the lawsuit a thinly veiled attempt to silence a woman of color who dared to speak her mind. One viral TikTok, which racked up over 3 million views in 24 hours, featured a young woman passionately stating, "This isn't about defamation. It's about power. It's about punishing someone who dared to speak uncomfortable truths, while being black, female, and unafraid." Others pointed out that historically women of color in politics have often been subjected to lawsuits, investigations, and public attacks that white male politicians seem to avoid. Many users are framing the lawsuit as part of a larger pattern. Powerful institutions using the legal system to discourage dissent. A war of hashtags and headlines, with Jasmine Crockett cancelled, and Stand, with Karoline battling for visibility, the conversation has quickly moved beyond just the facts of the case. Some users are asking bigger questions. Is this lawsuit a warning shot for every outspoken progressive? Or is it a justified defense against harmful rhetoric in a post-truth political era? When does speech become defamation, and who gets to decide? News outlets are split. Conservative publications highlight Leavitt's claims of career sabotage, quoting legal experts who say the case could set a precedent for online accountability. Progressive outlets focus on Crockett's defense, that her comments were part of protected political speech, and warn about the chilling effect the lawsuit could have on activism and advocacy. Cancel culture, in reverse. Interestingly, a phrase that keeps popping up is cancel culture in reverse. What does that mean? Traditionally, cancel culture refers to people being cancelled or losing their careers and reputation after public backlash for offensive or controversial statements. But Crockett's defenders argue that this lawsuit flips the script. Instead of a public backlash, it's a legal attack, an institutionalized form of cancellation using the court system instead of social media mobs. To them, this is more dangerous than a hashtag. It's a way of telling politicians, especially those who are young, female, or minorities, stay in line or we'll bankrupt you. That's a chilling thought for many activists and political commentators who are watching the case closely, or just consequences. Of course, there's another side of the coin. Some legal and political analysts argue that this isn't about free speech. It's about accountability. They say Crockett, as a sitting member of Congress, has a responsibility to choose her words carefully, especially when accusing someone of unethical or illegal behavior. Public statements can have real-world consequences, and when reputations and careers are at stake, it's fair for the accused to fight back, even in court. One tweet summed it up perfectly. You can't play with fire and cry censorship when you get burned. So, what's the truth? In the end, it all comes down to perspective. If you believe Crockett was speaking truth to power, then this lawsuit feels like punishment. If you believe Leavitt was unfairly smeared, then this is justice in action, and that's what makes this story so explosive. Both women have massive followings, both claim to be victims of a broken system, and both are becoming symbols in the larger war over who gets to speak, and who pays the price when they do. This legal drama unfolds. One thing is certain. The internet isn't done talking. The showdown ahead. What's next for Leavitt and Crockett? Right now, both women are digging in their heels, and what started as a legal filing is quickly becoming one of the most intense political standoffs in recent memory. On one side is Karoline Leavitt, sharp, media-trained, and unshaken. On the other side, Jasmine Crockett, fearless, unapologetic, and rising in progressive circles. Both have turned this lawsuit into something far greater than a legal case. It's now a battle for legacy, truth, and who controls the political narrative in 2025. Leavitt's strategy, law, media, and momentum, Karoline. Leavitt isn't just relying on the courts. She's executing a full-spectrum strategy. Sources close. To her campaign say she's assembled a powerhouse legal team. We're talking about attorneys with deep roots in Republican politics, strong ties to conservative donors, and access to major media platforms. These aren't just lawyers. They're political operatives in suits. She's also hitting the airwaves. Leavitt has appeared on Fox News, Newsmax, and several high-profile podcasts, not just to talk about the lawsuit, but to frame it as a larger fight for political accountability. In one recent interview, she stated, "This is about truth. It's about integrity. I'm not just defending myself. I'm standing up for every woman who's been unfairly attacked for her values." The lawsuit has become a rallying cry for her base. Donations are flowing in. Her social media following has grown by tens of thousands. She's turning the controversy into political capital, and she's doing it fast. Crockett's response: resistance and reinforcement. But don't count Jasmine Crockett out. If anything, the lawsuit has strengthened her resolve. Within hours of the legal papers hitting the news, she launched a fundraising campaign calling the suit a political hit job designed to silence women of color in Congress. Progressive leaders have come to her defense. Prominent activists, influencers, and members of the squad have publicly supported her, framing the lawsuit as part of a larger trend of suppressing marginalized voices. One viral post read, "Don't sue white men when they say worse. This is about power, not justice." Crockett is also using the moment to boost her national profile. She's appearing on MSNBC, doing Instagram lives, and tweeting regularly, all while keeping her messaging sharp and focused. "This won't break me. It'll make me louder." In many ways, this lawsuit is serving as her national coming out party, a moment where a rising voice on the left is being pushed into the spotlight. The legal calendar. What happens next?
So where does this go from here? The legal calendar will soon kick into gear. A court date is expected to be set later this summer, though these cases can stretch out for months or even years, depending on the pre-trial motions, discovery, and
any attempts at mediation. Legal experts say that both sides are likely to go all the way. This isn't just about winning. It's about making a point, proving a narrative, and keeping the media cycle spinning. Expect more headlines, more interviews, more viral videos. And with the 2026 midterm elections creeping closer, both women are walking a tightrope between defendant and candidate, plaintiff and performer. Reputation, power, and the fight for the future. At the heart of this story isn't just defamation or damage claims. It's about reputation. For Leavitt, it's about clearing her name and proving that truth still matters in a chaotic political climate. For Crockett, it's about resisting a system she says is designed to silence the very voices meant to disrupt it, and the stakes couldn't be higher. If Leavitt wins, she could re-emerge as a conservative powerhouse, with a legal victory that proves her resilience. If Crockett prevails, legally or in the court of public opinion, she could solidify her place as one of the leading voices of the progressive movement. For both women, the outcome will shape their future in politics and potentially change the rules of engagement for political speech in America. Final thoughts. A moment bigger than the lawsuit. So what's next? More court filings, more media blitzes, more division on social media. But beyond all that, this moment is becoming a turning point in American political culture. Whether you see this as a courageous fight for justice or a dangerous form of intimidation, whether you think it's cancel culture in action or just the long overdue consequences of reckless speech, one thing is crystal clear: this fight is far from over, and both Jasmine Crockett and Karoline Leavitt are betting their political futures that they'll come out on top. This is just the beginning of one of the wildest political battles of the year. As we wait for the legal fireworks to unfold, one question lingers. In a world where politics, media, and lawsuits collide, who really wins? Let us know in the comments. Do you side with Jasmine Crockett or Karoline Leavitt? Is this a fair lawsuit or a silencing tactic? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell. We'll keep you updated every step of the way.